came here in 1986 to run it for myself in October. I signed the papers and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and more importantly, can resonate with people and actually to some extent help people. That's pretty rewarding. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
Are you thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, but you don't know where to start? Have you searched for a realtor who will be nearby when they are needed, who will answer your calls and emails, who will go the extra mile to ensure your every need is met, who will help you with sourcing and supplying contractors while negotiating the best deal possible? Do you need a realtor who does not believe in high-pressure sales tactics or other gimmicks? Then you need me. My name is Steve Roy, and I offer a full-service professional sales and customized marketing package for my clients. I am helping clients with buying, selling, and investing. I will build a custom plan to fit your needs. I will work closely with you to ensure that you achieve your goals. My services include not only an analysis of your local market and correct pricing, but I will also help you to prepare your home for sale and make it look as desirable as possible to buyers by providing expert advice, using professional quality photographs, and compelling descriptions. Let me help you minimize cost and maximize your profits. Call me today, 207-649-8522.
Chair, do I hear a nomination?
Nominate Richard.
I'll second it.
Second. Are there any other nominations? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, one abstention.
Well, he doesn't vote for himself.
Absolutely.
Unless I object.
Too late.
The next order of business, do we have nominations for a vice chair?
I nominate
Second.
you're gonna be here this year.
I'll be the chair.
For Al Paxton. Are there any other nominations? Any discussion? Seeing none, please signify by raising your hand. One abstention. The next order of business is to accept nominations for secretary. Do I hear a nomination?
I know.
No.
I second it.
No, I'm not a secretary.
No,
I will sign it, I will
All
sign
you
it.
have to do is sign it, and then it's gonna go all
Fortier
over.
has
Thank
to
you,
be
Amanda.
secretary.
Not this man, but
Any other nominations?
Different Amanda.
Different one.
All those in favor?
hey, we're done.
9 o'clock?
Well, we need to have February.
I now turn this meeting over to the chair.
We have,
You're all set to go ahead and discuss the schedule.
I guess everything got pre-planned this year. The council's gonna come in on February 3rd at 8 o'clock in the morning. My understanding was it was very clear and cut and dry, and not many changes this year, so. Everybody on board with February 3rd?
Saturday, yeah,
Saturday, 8 a.m.
yeah.
We'll bring donuts, coffee.
I don't know, so we didn't get some, we did get some, so.
Yeah, some folks got it, some
I think
folks
we
didn't,
established we
so.
only read half of what I got.
Yeah, that's what we
I
established.
got none, I got nothing.
Because the email about
Guilty
tonight's
conscience,
meeting
I guess.
included the email about February 3rd. So,
Okay, so
Oh, I
maybe-
didn't see that one either.
Yeah.
I probably did the same thing you did.
What you should do is after the first sentence, put read on dummies.
I'll express that to Amanda, we'll forward that for you.
Bulleted
So,
paragraphs.
Read on
Item number
dummies.
1, item number 2.
oh, so if you have, and the department heads will be scheduled to come and see you, we'll have that scheduled
I'm
too.
tired.
The way we did it
Yep.
this past weekend, we did public works and cemeteries first, followed by police, then fire, then library, so, and we moved through it pretty quickly, so everything was good. If you notice while reviewing, you think you have a real specific question that may require additional information, please let us know ahead of time so we can make sure we bring that with us and we have that for you too. But other than that, things look pretty good, so.
Do you have anything under concern that we should be paying attention to?
Nothing in the current operating budget that was given to you. The only concerns regarding budgeting that I still have is regarding our capital improvement plan, because it's still pretty drastically underfunded. But I was mentioning to some of the folks earlier before you got here, with 50 Escalon Drive selling, that paid off the mortgage note that the town held. So we paid off the bond, and you'll see that reduction in this year's budget. And it ended up giving us an extra $253,000 worth of revenue. So I have suggested to council that be split up amongst 3 of the departments, so to help fund some extra money into their capital improvement plan. Originally, when I presented it to them last weekend, I just did a straight even, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. After discussions, it's not really fair considering the levels of equipment needed in the various 3 different departments for fire public works. So we came up with a formula for them to discuss tonight if they're happy with, and then once we go through that, the will be presented to you. So with the plan for what we have right now for capital reserves, what we'll be looking to currently budget in this fiscal year, plus that additional revenue, puts us in a little bit of a better position. So that will help, but it doesn't fix our application.
No, anything that helps.
Anything helps. So, we'll be receiving some additional revenue from PERC over the next fiscal year too. That's about another 200,000. Nobody's real sure when that's gonna show up. Could come in August, could come in September, could not come till December. So we hadn't budgeted for any of that for this year, but what we have done with the 2 smaller payments that we received, council has put them in a designated revenue account for that purpose, where we've set them aside. There's been some conversations to jointly work towards a recycling program with Waterville, Winslow, and Oakland. All 3 of us are withdrawing from PERC, well, 2 of us, and collaborate collectively to try to come up with a good recycling solution for us. But getting out of PERC has saved us $500,000, but we lost about $400,000 in revenue, so it's, so it's about $100,000 savings. So you'll see in the budget, expenses are down about $400,000, but revenues are down $300,000. So we're at about $86,000 this year that it's down, which is really good considering insurances have gone up. Dental and vision actually went up this year for the first time in probably the last 5 or 6 years. Medical insurance didn't go up as much as we thought it would, it only went up 6%. Wages adjustments that are in there, we had 2 large public works and police just recently redid their contract. The town office contract is up for renewal this June. We haven't started those conversations yet. Fire has 1 more year left of their contract, but they'll be back at the table by this time next year. So,
What was the adjustment on the 2 union, 2 contracts that have been negotiated already?
So 2.5%. There were some other changes, so there was an increase in clothing allowance for
Tonight we
PD.
I was here at
Public
6.
Works did a shift in their insurance. Used to be we only matched 88% of Public Works. We're now at the 90-10 split.
I threw
like we
mine
have
in my
with police and
briefcase,
fire.
that way I knew it was in there, so I just grabbed the
It
briefcase.
was very obvious during
Yeah, I just left mine
negotiations.
sitting on the kitchen table.
Insurance was most important to the Public Works Department. Some other big shifts you'll see in the insurance lines, we've had folks that have gone from single plans to family plans. There's no control over that. We can't demand that our staff not have children. We'd like to.
I would not do that.
We'd have to go to Jackman if we were gonna do that.
See there.
I don't think so.
So, those sorts of things. So they're just changes through attrition kind of things, but nothing glaringly obvious. Everybody's done really well at trying to hold the line, look for cost saving measures. So they're doing good. Yeah.
Move to adjourn the budget committee?
Got you.
Well, our businesses,
Your businesses.
and you have a meeting to start at 6:30?
When's
did.
our next meeting?
February 3rd, 8 o'clock.
Okay, February.
So we're getting thrown out, Dick.
Good.
Yeah.
You threw
Won't
yourself,
be-
you
won't
threw
be my
yourself
first
out.
time.
Well, and you don't have to leave. You're all more than welcome to stay.
Oh, thank you. We'll be back on the 3rd.
We will see you then.
We'll see you then. Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
You guys.
Drive safe, watch out for black ice,
Oh, yeah.
black ice, black ice.
Sounds racist.
So, you guys-
I know, but
I'm all set.
it's dangerous too, so
Yes,
I'm gonna be
Thank
real
you for
careful
coming
when I
down,
go out,
Linda.
'cause I got a feeling I'm gonna go right up in the air.
Didn't Amanda mention it to you the other day at the
No,
office?
no.
I could've sworn
Well,
she
you
said
had a
something.
printout and then you left without it, and then it
Oh,
said she was
that
gonna call
was
me, but.
So,
It was not on my calendar, let's put it that way. But I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
More than happy.
We were glad you were able to come.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you.
See you later.
Thanks.
Guess we can start there, Chief.
No problem.
Now please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Call this meeting to order. Our first order of business, public announcements. Dog licenses expired on December 31st. To avoid the state mandated $25 late registration fee, registrations must occur by January 31st. Proof of rabies vaccine is required at time of registration. And number 2, third quarter property taxes are due Friday, February 2nd, 2018. Second order of business, public hearings, to which we have none. At this time, we have a presentation to the council from Jim Dinkle of KRDA First Park.
Wanted to, well, for the record, I'm James Dinkle. I live at 106 Nyes Corner Drive in Fairfield. I'm here tonight, though, not as a resident, but as the president since November 6th of the Kennebec Regional Development Authority, or First Park. As I said, I started November 6th. I've been kind of learning my way around the 24 communities. I'm proud to say that Fairfield is the first council that I've met with, or a group of selectmen in some cases, within the 24 communities. So I've started my journey, and I hope to complete it through at some point in June of the 24 communities. As well, at some point in the spring, when the weather improves, we want to invite the selectmen and town council members and elected officials to First Park to reorient you with the park and to talk about our plans for marketing it better and making some much needed improvements to make it a little bit more sell-worthy. I would like to hand out my business cards. If you would just pass these around the table, you'll have that way my email as well as my phone, mobile numbers, as well as fax. In the first 3 months that I've been here, I've spent a lot of time reviewing files from the past 12 plus years when the park was organized. And it's my understanding, John, you probably know better than anybody, that Fairfield was one of the really drivers for creating First Park. Right?
That is correct.
And in great part because of the recession, I think there's been a lull in the sale of the lots, and that's probably attributable, again, to the recession. But my job is to find a better way to market the park. And I'm thinking very outside the box. Again, looked in the files of what my predecessors did. I've read strategic plans, marketing plans that have been done now through the years. So the first order of business is we are planning to update and have a better website. Our website has really lagged the past several years. So we want to make the website more attractive, but more importantly, we want the website to be of benefit and better use to site selectors, to corporate real estate executives, and end users of the lots in the park. Secondly, I want to do a better job of finding maybe a master developer who would buy the park, what's left of it, and develop it based on a scheme or a plan that they might have that would fit in nicely with T-Mobile and others within the park. That's one option. In thinking outside the box, though, as I said, One thing we've even thought about, I've talked to a park in Lexington, Kentucky that's 700 acres. And my counterpart there was giving me some very good guidance on what they're doing. Because again, they were impacted by the recession. So they were encouraging us to think outside the borders of the park to support more retail, more lodging, things that could serve the park and businesses that went in it. Right now, we have over 200 acres developable land in the park and 18 lots for sale or lease. So we have product that fits pretty much anybody's needs, and those lots can be assembled. So you're not just constrained to lot 13. You might assemble what's around you based on what your need is. One other thing we talked about with one park in Colorado was that they had actually had a live-work concept on one of their lots. And on the first floor, they had the work, and they had a variety of businesses, homegrown businesses that were taking off there. And then the people lived upstairs in sort of a loft environment. You know, again, we're thinking outside the box, but maybe there's potential if a developer would go in. And these are built sort of like townhouses, what that might look like and what that might attract. And so again, we're throwing things out there and taking the business community, the development community's pulse. Another, you know, I think discussion we need to have besides a master developer coming in would be, does the park, what's left of it, fit maybe the needs of a corporate campus? Is there one corporation that might have a need for the whole campus? I don't know. But we're not going to be the Amazon capital of the East Coast, we know that. Boston, I think, is the closest contender for that. And we're not going to really attract anything of that magnitude. But again, I think there are many things in the park that we have to think outside the box to better market it, because the past few years, it's just gone nowhere. I mean, let's just be very blunt about it. And that's not the fault of my predecessor, it's just the nature of the market and the economy, I believe. So anyway, I do want to hear from you. Michelle and John are you're the alternate representative.
Correct.
And then John is one of your town's representatives, and then Tom Munson is the other.
Who apologized. He didn't think he was going to be able to make it this evening.
He
so.
called me as well. So.
Yeah.
So these are your representatives to talk to first and then speak with me. Mike Roy from Waterville is our board president this year, I guess through June of 2019, two-year term. So there are any number of ways to talk to us, but I'm really excited about getting back to you when the new website is up and have you take a look at that. And again, I'm expecting Michelle, because she's on the marketing committee, to have some input on that on behalf of Fairfield as well. So.
Well, and one of the great things with the conversations around the website, something I never even thought of, and obviously neither did a lot of others, is a translator on the website. So if you're looking to solicit folks from foreign countries to come, it might be nice to have our website in a language that isn't just English. So could be Spanish, could be Italian, could be Chinese, Japanese, German, any of those, which is a great idea. And sorry to say that none of us ever thought about it. So it was a good piece. So
But again, I think that, like you said, that'll be a great enhancement to the website. It's almost common sense. Why didn't anybody think of it?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm excited to share that with you as soon as it's done. A couple of other things before I finish is I am planning a massive call trip to Seattle and Portland. And why Seattle and Portland? There are any number of business reasons I could lay out. Seattle is hurting. They've raised their minimum wage, as you may know, to $15 an hour. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that because it's a very expensive city to live in. But anyway, I'm going out there. There will be a conference on aviation that Boeing is sponsoring that I plan to attend for at least one day. And then we work with a group in Quebec City that lines up, or Montreal, appointments with us with business prospects. And so they're setting appointments for me in Seattle and Portland. And then I'll be visiting another group of people out there as well that are currently in Plano, Texas, who are moving their headquarters to Seattle. And there's some synergy there with the state of Maine, believe it or not, between Texas, Washington, and now Maine. So anyway, I think it's going to be an exciting Monday through Friday trip that I'm planning the last week of March and the beginning of April. There are a couple of other such very targeted, highly targeted conferences that I'm planning to attend and get out there and work trade shows and pound the pavement and get the word out about the community. One other thing I would just add, aside from marketing and so forth, that you kind of alluded to our financials a moment ago, is there should be a copy of our most recent annual report, not annual report, our audit, rather, here at the town.
There is.
Okay, so again, if any of you want to review that, it's on file, and if you can't lay your hands on it, just give me a call, and I can send you the electronic version of it. But our revenue has been steady. We work on a positive cash basis, and we got a very, very good audit report this past year. As a matter of fact, it was November 9th, which was my 4th day on the job, so I can't take credit for it, but I plan to uphold it and do as good a job with the audit and finances next year. So, can I answer any questions?
Not have any. No.
Well, I want to thank you for having me, and I won't be a stranger as
Thank you.
needed. And I do have to beg off tonight. I've been very, very, very sick, and I need to get in. I need to stop and get a heating pad at the pharmacy on the way home. So anyway, I'm not leaving because I'm not interested, but I do have to excuse myself because I'm not feeling well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome to Nice Corner Road community.
Thrilled to be here. I will say, Hillman's and Sundays, I found my way to those two businesses. So I am good for economic development in that regard, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for
James,
coming.
thank you very much.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening. Okay. Moving on to our third order of business, public comments, limited to 3 minutes. Members of the public may speak to the council on any item or reserve the right to speak on a specific item that is on a meeting agenda when the item is addressed. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, we will move on. Our fourth order of business, reports from staff and committees, our town manager's report.
My report's rather short, but I did want to let you know that last Tuesday, on the 16th, I did attend the public hearing regarding rate increases at the Kennebec Water District in Vassaboro. The Water District is planning a 5% rate increase effective April 1. This will typically be represented in bills that arrive in July of our next fiscal year. However, municipalities pay for hydrants pre-use. Therefore, we will see a rate increase effective in this current fiscal year. I actually was speaking with Al Hodgson just a moment ago, who is actually president of the Kennebec Water District and our rep. The trustees did vote to continue to go forward with the April 1 increase. However, the increase that we would receive, which is going to be $1,644.58 in hydrant rentals, they will extend that so that we don't have to pay for it until July at no interest and fees. We have the 5% increase in our current budget projections for next year, but not the 6.25% that this would actually be at. However, our budget this year is maintained to be very healthy, and I believe we could pay for the increase with contingency funds if we needed to. So we're not looking to change what we've given you for a budget increase for next year at this point. So that's where we're at with that. And then the Fairfield Economic Development Committee was supposed to meet this past Monday, but because I was out sick for the last 2 days, they've postponed it till next Monday. We're going to be discussing and going over the facade program that the town used to have and bringing that back, and also merging it with a merging it with a marketing program that the town of Madawaska currently does. So for businesses that need assistance with website development, or whether it be print ads or that kind of stuff, doing a sort of match program for that. So we're looking at setting those things up, which we think is going to be really exciting to go forward with. So, and that's it for me.
And I don't think we have any committee reports this evening.
No.
Okay. Our fifth order of business, to waive the reading of and accept the minutes as printed or amended for meeting number 2018-01 held on January 10th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Our sixth order of business is the treasurer's warrant To approve the treasurer's warrant number 43 in the amount of $93,134.37.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Our seventh order of business, to take action on the following items of business. Ordered that the town council hereby allow a 30-day buyback period for tax foreclosed property acquired by the town on January 12th, 2018, and that all outstanding debts shall be paid by Tuesday, February 20th, 2018 at 4:30 p.m.
I will make a motion for that.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Is there any discussion?
No, I think that's a good,
think
30
that's
days, because
been
I noticed
standard.
we've got 6 or 7 properties that are in that
Seems
pyramid right now.
Seems lower this year than
Yeah.
previous years,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yep.
And we're working with folks already. 1, 2. There's 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us stay out of the real estate business as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yep.
Absolutely. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item 18-06, order that the town council hereby select recipient of the annual town report dedication. I know you had brought up, 2 of them.
Yeah, I had a couple of them. I had
Mr. Matthew and
Arthur Julia.
Arthur Julia. Now, where Doug, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, where Doug had done a lot with the kids and things of that nature. I'm wondering if that would have been more in line with the Spirit of America Award.
Well, I mean, he's passed.
Right.
So that's what, usually the dedications are somebody that's, you know, if you look at all of our
Previous ones.
previous have, you know, some have been, but some haven't, so. I
Well, he
think,
was up at
I would
Dover's
like to
recently.
see Arthur. I think he's done
He
an
was a
awful
living
lot for the
person.
town and
But
employed
just
a lot of
recently.
people. and-
Right, no, I'm.
For the Spirit of America Award?
No,
Or
for the
dedication?
dedication,
Okay.
Arthur Julia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's, you know,
Yeah, I don't see I don't have any problems with that. I think he'd done quite a bit for the town, and he
Yeah.
had been on the town council, and
town
he
council.
was active in the town.
Very active in the town and employed some, you know, quite a few people from the town.
Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
a good job, so that would be kind of my recommendation, would be.
Mhm. Are there any other individuals that we need to look at nominating?
I mean, I think Mr. Julia is a good choice. I will say, I think that looking back over the list, I think there's a good mix of
Yeah, both.
living
alive
and dead
yes.
recipients in the past.
Yep.
I will say my preference is, you know, obviously when somebody passes away, we will continue to recognize them, but my preference would be that if we can, that we also do make an effort, perhaps beyond the Spirit of America Award, which has a somewhat limited context in which we award it, to make an effort to recognize citizens who have made a contribution to the town,
Right.
who are still alive, and do it while they're alive so they can appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have seen municipalities that have done both within their town report. So, like, one slot was dedicated to someone who had actually passed, and one was dedicated to someone who was currently
Yeah,
living.
that's a possibility too,
Because
that we could do
of the
pretty soon.
exact same reason, that it is nice to recognize folks also before they pass away, so to get that recognition.
As a matter of fact, that's how we're doing it now. So I actually have a page dedicated to the Spirit of America Award with the whereas and whereas, lined up with the Spirit of America Award protocol. And then I have a dedication page, one for one for the other. So we just incorporated that last year. So that's now,
Good idea.
that is now in place.
You make sure that they do get recognized.
So for the town report dedication, we're looking at Arthur Julia.
That's, you know,
I think-
something, but.
Yep.
I agree.
Council appears to be in agreement.
So is that a motion and a
Formally
second?
move that we,
Okay.
that we recognize Arthur Julia with the town report dedication.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. And item 18-07, order that the town council hereby nominate a recipient for the annual Spirit of America Award.
Yeah, I had, one of the ones that I had looked at was actually, one of Aaron's next door neighbors. Is Charlie Matthews, because I know Charlie has done a tremendous amount of work with the Boy Scouts. He's devoted practically his whole life into the Boy Scout field for this, for the town of Fairfield. Plus, he's also been on the he was on the planning board when I was on the planning board back in the 80s. He's been in that planning board an awful long time.
Did you say Charlie?
Yes.
Because there's a Douglas down.
Yeah, that's
No.
a different, two different
Something
names.
else.
It
Okay.
made it,
Okay, thank you.
it ended up going over to the other side of it.
Thank
Two
you.
different names,
Okay.
spelled differently. I mean, that would be my,
I think that Charlie Matthews is exactly somebody who's in the situation talking about before, where undoubtedly, if we wait long enough, we're going to honor him in memoriam. But I'd like to see him honored in his lifetime, and I think that this would be a good time to do that. He really has given a lot to our community, and being a Boy Scout leader, I know he's done a lot to form the moral qualities of a lot of
big
people in
time,
town.
yeah. I know I've given a couple of Eagle Scout awards that, people that he has trained and brought through.
Yeah. I know Charlie for many years ago.
I was gonna say, you've probably known him for a while.
Yes, I've known him for quite a while.
So,
So, would that be the
motion for that.
general consensus of the council?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item number 1808, order that the town council hereby adopt the goals and council goals and standards for 2018.
I'll open that for a motion for discussion.
A second.
Motion and a second.
I went over it and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty strict.
I want to make sure the comment that we had about standard number 3, number 3. The notes I had from that meeting didn't say to include the comment for use in effective ways, but I want to just make sure that that line accurately reflects what you wanted it to reflect. It was the only place my notes really weren't clear. It was at the tail end of our conversation.
Development incentives for use in an effective way, including but not limited to CDBG and other grant
Yeah.
programs and tax
I
increment.
wasn't 100%.
And it was regarding the tax increment financing,
Yes.
and my notes just weren't really clear when we were going over that at the end, when you were putting these minutes together.
So, I think this way it also still modifies tax increment financing. My particular concern was, I wanted to be clear that when we approach the issue of TIFs, which I think there's a lot going on with the issue of TIFs, and at the Meet the Reps last night, it was discussed that there's a lot going on considering this issue, is that TIFs can be used in a number of different ways, and some communities perhaps have overused them or used them in ways that were not effective to accomplish their goals. A TIF in and of itself, in my opinion, is not
not a good thing unless it does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
And in fact, it can be deleterious in the long run. So my hope is that by wording this goal such that we are keeping the option open to use tax increment financing, but also giving ourselves a note of caution that we will evaluate the effectiveness of that
Right.
plan more so than just the method.
Yeah,
It was-
and that's why I was thinking that this didn't really quite accurately reflect what you were getting at. So I was thinking if, I mean, and we could leave it exactly this way because it does say to use it in effective ways. But do you kind of more want to talk about, what I think you're getting at is more of the programs that are involved when we do a TIF agreement? It's the TIF program itself, how it's administered, and the projects in which those funds are used for.
Certainly, and I think your statement right then perhaps has elucidated my point, which is the automatic association of TIF with credit enhancement agreement.
Right, and that's what I was
that may
saying.
not always be our best
Exactly.
tool, and I think that we need to, when we consider TIFs, consider how to use them effectively, not simply how do we create credit enhancement agreements.
Exactly, and that's what I was wondering if that's what you were getting at, because like I said, my notes weren't clear.
Yep.
So about the tax increment financing programs and associated projects being used in an effective manner.
Absolutely.
And effective, okay. We can make that fix.
Okay. I'll amend the motion to put that fix in.
Because anytime you do a TIF, you have to list out what your projects are.
Right.
Credit enhancement agreements is merely one component of all of the projects and not just the whole thing. So yes, okay.
On 2.3, should we leave in just ad hoc committees? Should they be created?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
You know, rather than specific to that, I'm wondering if we should just leave it as, you know,
Yep.
should they be created? I mean, that would be,
Yep,
As needed.
or we could just put ad hoc
Yeah, I would
committees.
say as needed, because, I mean, obviously, we had it last year on solid waste, so that was the,
Right.
Wouldn't the creation of any ad hoc committee automatically mean that we felt we needed that committee? No, I mean, they don't emerge out of
You
nowhere.
don't need to put as needed.
Ad hoc committees.
Yeah. We were more looking at the fact of, well, the work on that is done, so take it out.
okay.
but we may have a need in the future to create an ad hoc committee.
You might.
May also be covered by the one that says other town boards and committees that meet from time to time. I mean, if we form an ad hoc committee,
Well.
presumably it's a committee that meets from time to time, or we probably should consider why we're forming it, but,
Well, I mean, if it's a finite,
right.
Yeah.
Get that.
What did you think of the progress section? The very end,
lengthy, which was good.
which is
Lengthy,
good,
but
right?
Which is very good.
Sometimes
thought
we sit
everything
around,
was-
you know, we
I
do
thought
an
there was
awful
some
lot of
good stuff.
conversations about things that we'd like to do, but we don't always take stock of the things that you've
Yeah.
actually done. And the things that have been done in line with these goals, and I think it's very good to put that out there. So the fact that it is lengthy is nice.
One thing I would perhaps add on number 13, and this probably sound at odds with my constant sounding of caution on the issue of TIFs, but I think it would be important to point out for anybody reading this that we did, by approaching this project in an effective manner, also retire the associated bond.
Oh, yeah,
And I think that the retiring
Yep.
of that debt is a major accomplishment.
Right, and that's what TIFs are made for. And creating jobs.
yep, that would be a good addition to that.
Yep.
Job creation.
Okay. I'll amend my motion to make
Those
the
changes.
changes as spoken.
I'll second that.
You gotta love friendly amendments. Oh, yes.
So when I came up with this list of what you've accomplished, instead of going to the last year, I went to the last time this particular document was updated. You haven't had a substantial update for a couple of years since Michelle started. And going forward, we'll be looking at having this reviewed and edited annually. But there's a reason some of this goes back a 2-year cycle, and I just
Sure.
wanted to let you know that was the reason why.
No, that's perfect. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Alright, item 18-09, order that the town council hereby appropriates a sum certain from the Crawford Perpetual Music Trust Fund for the 2018-2019 fiscal year to support the Lawrence Library Band and Orchestra programs and communicate the same to the MSAD 49 School Board for the purpose of budget planning. And
What amount are they looking for?
we are available for disbursement, I believe is the 35-821-11.
2111,
35,821.11, correct.
Yes, for the sum of $35,821.11.
So moved.
Second.
What did we give them last year?
$33,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that
That's
much.
also located on the spread. So in your packets last year, I'm not, reviewing my packet this evening, I realized that this spreadsheet that you have in front of you was not included in the printed packets. I don't know if you got it in your emailed portion or not.
No.
But what this
Yes.
spreadsheet takes into consideration, everything that we gave them last year,
30,000.
all of their gains, losses. The fund actually did very well this year.
Yeah.
And that 35,821.11 represents the year-to-date change in value from January 1 through December 30th, including our disbursements of that
Right.
33,000, which we do take into consideration.
Yeah.
The year prior, what you had done, because if you remember correctly, this fund did not do very well, the year prior to that. And that we only dispersed $7,416 in October of 2016. And they had come back and requested a little bit more, which you voted to give the additional $3,000, but
Yes.
not until after the first of the calendar year, which was that 3,000. And so when we did our disbursement for all of the 16 year, when you look at those values, they would have been eligible for $33,000, but because you gave them that extra 3,000, they accepted the 30.
Yep.
So that's where that was at. So the way the sheet works, so with everything that they'd be eligible for, minus the 10%, which we retain to reinvest, is 35,821.11. Much better year than 15 when it was at a complete loss for the
Yes.
year.
Absolutely.
Yep. Done.
Good. Okay. So, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
I'll be mailing that letter out probably by the end of the week. It's pretty much done. It was waiting for tonight's vote, so it'll go to the school board soon for them to work on that budget to come and present to you.
Okay, very good. All right. Item 18-10, order that the town council hereby authorizes the purchase of vehicle diagnostic equipment and software, and authorizes the town treasurer to appropriate the expenditure from the department reserve accounts up to the amount of $12,000. I had a question.
Don't get too technical, because I don't know if I'll be able to answer it, but I can answer some of it.
He didn't make, I didn't see a recommendation here.
So in his email, the Public Works Director did not specifically tell you exactly what he wanted,
I don't.
but what you've been given for paperwork is what he specifically told me in my office. So one is the TR system, which is the Texa truck OHW with the laptop for the $79.95. And then on Snap-on, we just need to get the add-on component, which is the very last piece of $3,895.
Okay,
Oh,
understand.
all right.
Okay?
Yeah, I
Because,
was confused on the
so,
other stuff.
it's that last piece from the Snap-on quote isn't something that's available from the TR Systems LLC folks, but they will work in conjunction with each other.
They are compatible.
They are compatible.
Okay.
Snap-on gave us an estimate for the same exact equipment that TR Systems did,
Yeah,
but you notice that their full quote is
Slightly,
much more expensive.
slightly higher.
So the whole thing combined with the TR Systems plus the Snap-on add-on is $11,890,
Okay,
as opposed to the full Snap-on quote being $15,823.99.
right.
And currently, just to let you know, we borrow this piece of equipment from another local business. So if we were to drop it and break it, we would buy it anyway, and it still wouldn't belong to us. Sometimes also, though, because of the fact that we're waiting to borrow it from another piece of equipment, it can cause a delay. Most all of our vehicles now, they're electronic components. We all know that. They require computers to do diagnostics on them. And the best thing about, that I was told by the Public Works Director with his TR Systems, is that it also includes membership to a website where mechanics talk to each other all the time, because sometimes these vehicles will throw a code and it could be multiple different things, and it helps save time with process of elimination.
So I do have a question about this, and it's not about the necessity of this
Right.
piece of equipment, but just a sort of broader issue here. This is now the second time that we've been approached about buying a fairly substantially expensive piece of equipment, and basically being told, you know, outside of the normal budget process, it would save us money to buy this as opposed to renting it to meet our needs. It's 2018. It's not new that
Exactly.
that vehicles have these diagnostic issues. So while I don't think that there's any question that this piece of equipment would be helpful, it would perhaps be helpful in terms of the stability of our reserve accounts and our budgeting process if these needs, which have been existing for years, could be identified and brought to us as part of a normal budget process, as opposed to when it occurs to somebody that that they don't want to rent this anymore.
So what happens is that when we budget capital reserves currently right now, and what we have done for the last several years, is we're just budgeting a flat amount, not based upon any need whatsoever. And while we've been working on a lot of our capital reserve stuff over the last several months, some of these pieces have come up. And throughout the conversations of pieces of equipment that are breaking down, or especially as I'm digging deeper as to how some of these departments are expending their finances, these pieces are coming to light, and we're thinking that this is a positive way in which we could save ourselves funds or have a good impact. My concern when I first found out about this was that we recently hired a new mechanic, and we're asking him to work on all our vehicles, and didn't realize that we're not actually even providing our mechanic the tools he needed to even do his job. So for me, that made me think, well, we have the money in capital reserves. The biggest piece was when we started looking at it for next year's budget. What they said was, these prices are gonna go up in the next 30 to 60 days. We absolutely know it, we've been told. That's why it's here in front of you today. We could have waited and said, we're gonna bring this back in July after the new fiscal year starts. It's probably gonna be a little bit more. The need would have been exactly the same today as it would be then.
I like I said, I am not disputing that the need to this piece of equipment is clearly part of mechanical servicing for vehicles. But I think rather than have a system where we budget in the dark as to what our equipment needs are going to be, and then have a repeated conversation about the necessity of buying or replacing equipment, that some sort of capital asset plan that can allow us to budget based on, you know, our objective reality and needs would be best going forward.
Yes, I agree with you.
All right, I will make a motion to up to $12,000, because basically I feel it'll save us over the years, more than that, time-wise for mechanic, et cetera, so.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I do agree with you as far as what you said. I think that, you know, if there is a need like that, it should be presented at the time of the budget meetings, or anything that is needed should come before the town council, not at a later date. I do agree with you on that, Aaron.
I would imagine that what Michelle's getting at is, her and the heads of departments are trying to work towards a time where we know 20 years from now, we're gonna need a new one of these scanners, or 10 years, or however long. So let's set aside however much, and we know for a fact we're gonna need a new one, or the laptop's gonna die, or whatever's gonna happen to it.
Well, we do also know that any kind of electronic things that you buy within 6 months, it's outdated, and you're going to have to get something better or more costly.
It's 3 years.
Oh, hardly.
Well, and the other piece of that is that we do have a capital reserve plan with all of our assets mapped out and the replacement dates. The problem is that instead of $115,000 annually that we put aside, we need almost $450,000-$500,000 for public works alone. So we have the plan. Unfortunately, the plan is just not anywhere near financially feasible for our community at this time.
Exactly.
So that's where our issue comes in. So
Exactly.
we're outside of the box thinking a little bit.
Yep.
Is there any other discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to our 8th order of business, council workshop and other business. Number 1, discuss budget fiscal year ending 2019.
So this was in case we had anything major from Saturday's budget meeting to go over. I just had 2 updates for you. One, I provided you a copy with the 5-year paving plan, which wasn't in your original packet. Remember, this plan is always fluid, but it does give us what our immediate plan is for the next fiscal year. For that, and then also I gave you an updated sheet where on the capital equipment reserve, we discussed the use of that additional $553,000 in revenue, and coming up with a funding formula instead of a split 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 between police, fire, and public works. So we really came up with something very simple. I took a look at what our current capital reserve plan has for each individual department and listed out their numbers of pieces of equipment that are actually on it, because money-wise, we would never, I mean, one fire truck compared to, like the Quint, for instance, was almost $800,000, and you've got a plow truck at $190,000. So what we did is we took the pieces of equipment that's on our capital improvement plan, which we have 41 pieces of equipment, and 12 being for the fire department, 5 being for police, and 24 being for public works. Did the math, came up with a 30-10-60 split. So because of the fact that there are more pieces in public works and we do replace them faster, fire trucks once purchased are, 25, 30-year shelf life most of the time, so.
Yes.
So to see if that kind of percentage worked for you, it was very simple math, but it was something we could definitely point to as to how we came up with that distribution percentage. And I think it actually works out relatively fairly. I've talked to 2 of the departments, one I haven't spoken to yet, but 2 of them I've had a chance to speak to today, and they both thought that it was an equal fair share, so it worked out well.
I think it's more equitable.
And I do too.
Compared to the vehicles and the equipment that each department is using.
Yep, I do too, as well as the fact that I think that when we look at the bottom line of what we could end up at the end of fiscal year 19, or at least actually technically going into it, if this is what we did in July and things that became effective, it definitely makes all 3 departments sit in a much better place, capital reserve wise, and it doesn't have any impact on property taxes for any sort of increase. So I think that that's the other bonus that comes with it. So it kind of was good all the way around. Good. I just wanted to make sure that's what you liked, and then we'll make sure we get this off to the budget committee.
It's very
when they
good.
meet.
Very good.
And that was it for that.
Okay. So,
Thank you for doing that. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? Discuss MSAD 49, proposed updated snow removal agreement.
We haven't heard from them.
Okay.
So
It's
we
just,
don't have a.
you don't have anything, we're just gonna, we suspect that it's going to be soon. So we've just left it on here, thinking that it'll be coming quickly. I'll follow up with the superintendent tomorrow. I
Okay.
don't think the school board has met, their last meeting was canceled, and I don't know as if they've had another scheduled meeting since then, so, that's all.
well, one of their chair people are not in the city right now anyway, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know if they met last week or not, they usually meet every other week, and I think it's opposite our weeks. So they should have met last Thursday, but I'm not sure, so I'll double check.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did either.
So, okay, then we're good with that then. And number 3, discuss other council business.
Nothing.
Beverly?
Not a thing.
John?
Nothing at this time.
How about now?
Okay, now. The, no, it's been quiet in Augusta, so I'll probably have more information next.
Okay, very good. Aaron?
I just wanted to say that between last Friday and yesterday, I saw that a number of Fairfield residents had taken a stand against the racist incident in Jackman. And I really want to thank the people of Fairfield who took an interest in their community and making sure that the values of our community were reflected in what was happening there, and stood up against that sort of thing. So I want to thank the people who lent their voice to that, and I want to thank our neighboring community in Jackman for resolving that issue quickly and well.
Thank you. And I do not have anything this evening. So with that, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, February 14th, 2018.
Valentine's Day.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's all good.
Bring chocolates.
It's also Ash Wednesday.
Is
Okay.
it both?
Is it really?
No kidding, I don't think I've ever seen it
Do we
twice.
have any documents to sign?
One document, so I just need a quick recess.
Okay,
Okay.
we
well,
can do that.
At this time, the council will recess to sign all documents that require signatures of the council members.
Yeah,
Yep.
What was the date?
14.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I'll try again.
We're in recess.